Jesus said to him, "It is as you said. Nevertheless, I say to you, hereafter you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of heaven." And when Jesus said those words, immediately they pronounced the death sentence. Let me ask you, who pronounced the death sentence? Was it the civil power or was it the religious power? It was the religious power. The Inquisition was made in the church governing body. And the sentence of death was dictated in the church governing body. I want you to remember these details because we're going to come back to them when we talk about the beast and when we talk about the land beast. Notice what we find in Matthew chapter 26 and verse 66. After they did the Inquisition, after they did the inquiry, it says, "Then the high priest tore his clothes, saying, 'He has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Look, now you have heard his blasphemy. What do you think?' They answered and said, 'He is deserving of what? Death.'" Who pronounced the death sentence? The state or the church? The church pronounced the death sentence. They were the ones who did the Inquisition. They were the ones who led Jesus to incriminate himself. But the problem is that the church of that day and age could not execute the death penalty. They pronounced the sentence, but the church as a church could not do it. So what did they do? They took Jesus to the political ruler of Rome. Notice Matthew chapter 27 verses 1 and 2. Matthew 27, 1 and 2. "When morning came, all the chief priests and elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to whom? To Pontius Pilate, the governor." Now, was Pilate the civil ruler or religious ruler? He was the civil ruler. Could the church execute the death penalty on Jesus without the help of the state? Absolutely not. They needed the help of the civil power. Now, when they take him to Jesus, notice John chapter 18 and verse 30. John 18 verse 29 and verse 30. "Pilate then went out to them and said, 'What accusation do you bring against this man?' They answered and said to him, 'If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him up to you. He's an evildoer.'" Let me ask you, had he violated any of the civil laws of Rome? He had not violated any of the civil laws of the state. In fact, do you know that Pilate had the separation of church and state much clearer than even the Jews did? Notice John 18 and verse 31. "Then Pilate said to them, 'You take him and judge him according to your law.'" How many laws did Pilate recognize? How many? 2. He says, "I got my law, which is the civil code of Rome, but you take this man and you judge him by what? By your law, which is religious law." In other words, Pilate is recognizing that there are how many kingdoms? 2 kingdoms. His has a law, which is civil law, and they have a law, which is religious law, because they've accused Jesus of transgressing the first table of the law. But you see, the Jews, they wanted to put him to death, and they needed the help of the state in order to put him to death. This is what the Bible calls fornication.